Hey guys, today is going to be another work in progress video on my HGUC Kshatriya. So yeah, it's been a while since my first work in progress video where I just showed you guys about just kind of modifying the elbow joints a little bit so that those parts will be easier to paint. If you didn't remember, this is a kit that I'm just painting up for a commission. And so yeah, I've been really busy working on finishing that guy there, my master grade Psycho Zaku. So that's done. You guys will be seeing a video on that soon, as soon as I can get around to photographing and video documenting that kit. So what I want to go over in this video is I'm going to be doing the reverse wash. So here I've got all of the sleeves parts. Like this is the part. It's obviously going to be kind of hard to see. There you go. Part for the chest. And so what I've done so far is just spray them with primer and then spray them with white. I think the white that I use is something like gloss white or semi-gloss white or something. Anyway, not really special, just plain white. And then went over that with just a glossy top coat just to secure that. And actually it's a Pledge. Pledge, it's like Pledge Future Floor Sealant or something. Anyway, whatever. It's people use it for top coat. I've been using it for top coat recently and really happy with the results of that. It worked quite well. So now that these are all glossed up, now I'm going to spray it with some enamel, just flat black. So for those of you guys who maybe don't know, and I actually get asked about this quite a lot, so I'm assuming that there's probably going to be a handful of you guys who don't know about this, but the paint that I used here for the white is lacquer paint. Lacquer paint is stronger than enamel paint, so it's better to put the stronger paint down first, because then when I spray the enamel paint on top of that, then I need to go ahead like with a Q-tip. What I'm going to do is then just remove the black paint from the raised part that should be white. And so if I did opposite, spraying lacquer on top of enamel, then when I try to remove the lacquer, it would just remove the enamel as well. So I hope that makes sense. It's relatively simple. I'm still no expert when it comes to that kind of paint stuff, so you guys maybe still have questions about that, but I hope that's relatively simple. I have started painting a few things on the kit. So first here, let me throw up an image. This is what I'm going for with the kit. What the commissioner, is that correct? The guy who this is for, what he wants is basically it to be like a modeled after one of like the Helgun generals from the Killzone games. So here's a picture of here's a picture of the guy, and then a picture of the color scheme that I came up with for this. I've also ordered some custom decals from Samuel Decal. I just laid out some decals for it, just basically of those big symbols there. And I sent that order to Samuel Decal, so hopefully maybe next week or something I'll get the decals in for this, and I should be getting done with painting around that time, so it should work out well. So yeah, all like the funnels and tubes and the kind of smaller details, which were yellow, are now in all this red color, just this kind of dark red like this. So those are all done and then gloss coated, so those are pretty much done for now. And then all of the armor that should be gray, I have it right now, it's just primed. I'm using black primer for that because I want the gray to be a little bit darker. And then on the stock kit, like the standard colors, what is normally dark green, all those parts that are normally dark green are just going to be a really super dark gray, almost black. So right now, I mean, looks kind of similar, but actually the parts that on the regular kit are in light green are going to be in just dark gray, and the parts that are darker green are going to be in a darker gray, anyway, as you saw there with the kind of preliminary art. So that's how it's going to be looking, and so let's get into mixing up some paint here. So again, just using Tamiya Enamel XF1 flat black. You can use other types of paint, other brands of paints. Using either enamel or acrylic will be best because those are, like I said, weaker than lacquer. Probably not going to need a whole lot, but I do want to make sure I have enough. If I do have any, I'm not mixing it with anything, so if I have any extra I can put it back in the bottle. It'll be fine. So just Some black paint there. Some thinner. I'm actually almost out of thinner. Need to order some more. And again, you want to have about the consistency of milk. People usually say I never really scientifically check my ratios. I just kind of eyeball it, and I've been mostly pretty successful. If the ratio is a little bit off and I start to spray, and I can tell if it's too thin or too thick or something, then I can just change it up accordingly. But usually I've been pretty good with it. So just gonna mix this up really well. I'm just using a toothpick. As you can see, you can use whatever you want. You could mix it directly in your airbrush cup. I sometimes do that with lacquers, but with this, I just want to make sure it's really stirred up good and well first before I put it into the airbrush. Alright, so that step is done. You have to excuse my mask face here. Always important to wear a mask. Right, so actually I ended up going over all these parts with 4 coats. Hopefully you guys can see that there. Is that auto-focusing? Hopefully. I'll show you that closer up in a moment when we start to going over that. But I went over that 4 times. I wanted to make sure that had like a really good solid black there, because it should be really solidly black. Also, just because I think my mixture of paint was just a little bit too thin, possibly, or something. But anyway, so went over that 4 times, and now I'm just gonna wait for that to dry for a while. But I wanted to answer a couple of questions that are very frequently asked questions that I get, so it's a good chance to answer those. People often ask me about the drying time of enamel paint. When you're airbrushing anything, it's usually going to dry faster just because of the process of the paint getting mixed with the air. We usually just let the paint dry much faster. So this, I mean, I just finished a few minutes ago and it's pretty much dry to the touch. I don't want to test it too much, but enamel will be dry within 10-20 minutes, less than an hour. Enamel will be dry to the touch anyway, but then it's not, enamel actually takes quite a long time to totally cure. So for it to be totally cured, it can take a few days up to a week from what I've heard. So you don't want to test it too much. You want to take your time and be patient with it, of course. So yeah, just give it at least 30 minutes to an hour to dry before you even try to handle it, and then don't try working with it too much. But if you're wanting to do reverse wash like what we're doing now, you don't want to let it cure for too long, because then it'll be hard to take it off, because once it's fully cured, it'll be very, very resilient paint. So I'm going to let this dry for a few hours, and that should be enough. It should be plenty well dry enough, but not starting to cure too much. That'll be hard to take off. The other thing that I think a lot of people will ask on this video is, how can I do this if I don't have an airbrush? I'm not sure really what would be the best way, and I'll tell you what I think, but if you guys have a different idea, or if my idea is not good, let me know in the comments below, and if there's someone who has a better idea or something, I'll pin that comment to the top there so you guys can see that. So, but what I think would be the best way to do this if you don't have an airbrush would be to spray your lacquer base with just a spray can paint, which is usually lacquer based paint, and then your top coat, again, just with spray can. And then instead of enamel paint, just use acrylic paint. I think would probably be good. You could hand paint enamel, but if it's like a pretty large surface like this, I mean, like this is a pretty big space, so if you want it to be really even, I think it's probably easier to get an even coat with acrylic paint than enamel. So just paint that with acrylic, again, give it enough time to dry, and then just wipe it off in this step that we'll be going over next. So I guess that would probably be what I think the best way to do this if you don't have an airbrush. But yeah, alright, so I'm gonna let this dry for a bit and then come back and then we'll clean it up. Alright, so it's now been about 6 hours, I suppose. A little bit longer than I intended, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. I've gone ahead and just kind of already started by just removing the black from some like the easy areas where it's just all white here, just on the sides, and then just like the edges, the outside edges where I don't need to be as careful. So just gone ahead, it worked ahead a little bit to do that. But now we're going to remove it from the areas where it doesn't need to be. So on this white part now, what I'm using is just lighter fluid. So this is just some cheap Korean lighter fluid. You are going to want to use a mask, so I'm going to put my mask on and not talk throughout while I'm doing this because I just need to wear a mask. The fumes are not so good. And just using a cotton swab now. These cotton swabs that I have are like the super cheap ones, which is really what you should use. But the thing about the really cheap ones is that when you want ones that like actually have more cotton at the end, these cheap ones aren't that good because they have very minimal actual cotton on them. But in this case, that's going to be really good because you want it to be like really tight on there so that you have really good control, and you also need to work really slowly and take your time, which is something I'm not always good at, so I'm going to have to try to work really slowly and carefully. Also, you're going to have, this is going to fill up with paint really quickly, so you're going to be going through a lot of these. I'll probably need to use probably 2 cotton swabs, I would assume, or more for each one. So take your time, work carefully. Just going to some people will just actually put the lighter fluid into a dish or something. It evaporates so fast though. I just kind of drop a couple of drops. I know you can't see that because my hand is in the way here. I just put a couple of drops on the end of the cotton swab there and then just get to it. So let's have a go. Alright, well, that took a while, but finally done. Really glad it's only 5 pieces and not any more than that. I made it out and everything came out perfectly except one tiny little mistake there. You can see I just need to clean up that little bit right there. That should be relatively simple. But that is it. That is it for the reverse wash for the Kshatriya. So here we go. Here's how that's going to look there on the chest piece. Looking pretty good. Now, what I definitely need to do now is give this maybe till tomorrow, just for that enamel to cure some more, and then I'll hit these with some more glossy top coat to just seal that all in there, make sure that's all good and protected, and then I'll be moving on with the painting. So I don't know if I'll do another work in progress video. You guys maybe won't see any more of this until I've got it done, and then I'll show you just the completed build. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you do have any other questions or comments, leave those down below. See you guys. Bye-bye.